Hillcrest Primary School currently has 2 NQTs. Vicky Martin, who's teaching Year 4, and Caroline Bishop, who is teaching reception.
An NQT is a newly qualified teacher, so they have gained QTS status, qualified teacher status, through a variety of courses at university. So they arrive in school, we've interviewed them, we've appointed them, they turn up and they've never actually taught a class of their own. They've done lots of practice in schools, but they've always had the support of a teacher.
At the start of her NQT year, Vicky wrote an action plan with Emma. Then, throughout the year, Vicky will be observed a total of 6 times and will have 3 formal assessments.
I think I started thinking, well, I've done all of my training now, so I'm ready to go. But in fact, and that was just the beginning of my learning journey. So I've realised that in September I was very confident, because obviously I've been given the role of a class teacher and I'm responsible for these children. But also, on the other hand, playing alongside that, I'm also still learning myself. This year so far, this academic year, I've learned a phenomenal amount, and much more than my teacher training could have ever taught me.
The difference between the first observation and the last observations is quite incredible, and by the end it's seamless, and at the beginning you can just see that the mind's whirring and them thinking, oh, so I'm being observed, I haven't remembered to ask this, oh crikey, I've not given this resource out, or oh, I've forgotten to photocopy this. And so the journey that they go on is immense, and it's great fun to be part of it.
What we're going to do now then is...
Emma is taking Vicky's 5th observation lesson of her NQT year.
Because those are Y words, those are fantastic words.
The topic for today is slavery.
In your sentences. So I've got a picture here. It's life in Nigeria. I've got a nice family happy picture. I've got 1 thought bubble, 1 speech bubble, and 1 heart, which is the feelings.
I wish that I had more money and had a bigger house.
Money, perhaps that would be something that was on his mind. Remember, we're happy and we're positive at this stage in the journey, though. I will put that one down, though, Noah, but I want the next one to be something happy and positive. We could have everything around me is calm. That would be a really nice one to say, wouldn't it? Have you got any other Y words that are similar to calm?
Everything around me is peaceful.
At this stage in my NQT year, I quite enjoy the observations, because it's a chance for me to show off everything I've learnt, and obviously to show that I've responded to the feedback that I was given from my previous observations. Perhaps what he could hear, what he would tell you. If he was in the picture...
What I'm looking for is, are children in that class achieving the learning objective? Are children learning? Are children making progress in that lesson? And therefore, is the teacher enabling that to happen? And that's a really difficult thing for NQTs to grasp, actually, that it's the learning that I'm looking for, and the teaching facilitates that learning.
Words that you've come out with. So already I can see and hear, coming around the classroom, that you are empathising and developing your ideas for writing, which is fantastic, so well done.
I try and scribble down all the positive features I see, because it's really important for the NQTs that I feed back all the positive things that I notice, because I've got that luxury of watching them.
Choose perhaps just one of these. You can use my sentence starters if you want to, and if someone next...
But I also then will perhaps write myself questions down that I might answer later on in the lesson, or that I can talk to the NQT about in the discussion at the end of the lesson. And if there's something I just think, oh, that's a disaster, or we must make sure that doesn't happen again, then, you know, I'll make it quite clear to the NQT that we don't do that, or there's another, you could talk about how you could have handled that differently. At the back of my mind, I've got the set of core standards that the NQT has got to have evidenced against by the end of the year. So ultimately, the NQT through the year has to prove that they can fulfil all the core standards that a teacher has to be able to do in order to be an effective teacher. And so observations is a key way of monitoring progress against those core standards.
You could have, by the end of the lesson, I want you to have come up with some ideas of what you can put in your diary entries.
There's a whole host of things to look for in a lesson, but one of the best ways of finding things out is actually talking to children and saying, so, you know, what are you doing, what are you learning? Can you explain to me what you should be doing in this task, and do you find that easy, do you find that difficult? And looking at children's work and seeing what they're doing.
I think the observations are a fundamentally important part of the NQT year. Basically, you're always then reviewing and reflecting on your own practice. It's also nice to have your teaching looked at from somebody else's perspective, so then they can feed back on things that you wouldn't necessarily notice about your own practice. Then you can set yourself new targets and actions that you can then remedy either immediately or over time as more of a long-term goal to improve your teaching.
When the observation lesson is finished, Emma and Vicky have a feedback session.
The conversations they had with each other. I want to see, have I got a reflective teacher sat in front of me? Can that teacher reflect on their lesson? Can they identify what went well? Do they recognise what learning happened, and how do they know? I want them to be able to evidence to me that they've identified the learning. I want to know that they know what every child did.
I asked the children what they thought about the lesson this afternoon, and you know, if I did this lesson again, what would you like me to do different? And a couple of them actually did say they thought we kept coming back to the carpet too much, which I actually thought was the thing that helped keep the lesson pacey and keeping it on track. So it was interesting they said that. I asked them about the first part because I didn't think their writing was quite such high quality for the Nigeria experience, and the children said that's because our project is slavery. So we know a lot about the slave ship and we know a lot about plantation life. We don't know much about life in Nigeria, so that was a part of the lesson that should have been scaffolded more, or should have been just a shared writing, and I should have given a little bit more support for that one, and I should have used some of my skills and knowledge, because even with the photos the children didn't have enough.
I'd rather by the end of the year that the NQT is the person doing the talking and the discussion, but at the beginning of the year I have to be the person who can offer ideas, because ultimately if you haven't got very much experience as a teacher, then you have a limited resource of ideas. So during your NQT year, it's about seeing a wide range of teaching and listening to me and listening to other people so you can build up those ideas. The best NQTs I found are the ones who listen and go and try out those ideas. What could you have done differently, or how could you, with the same resources, enable children to think in a slightly deeper way about what life might have been like before being captured into slavery? What do you think you could have done?
I think it might have helped. I mean, I did have questions on my plan, and questions that I'd thought of to ask the children. I think on reflection now it would have been helpful if they would have had those questions on the table. We did
Along with the observations and feedback, another essential element to the NQT year is having time for professional development.
I've organised for next week, as part of my NQT time, to go and observe an experienced teacher, which will help me to reinforce the good practice that I still need to improve. So I'm hoping next week, when I go and observe an experienced teacher, they will be able to display some of the good strategies that I should be incorporating into my future lessons.
You're going to need to cut out the buttons and stick them onto the score. Then you're going to come back and...
Vicky now only has one more observation before the end of her NQT year. Caroline, on the other hand, is just about to have her final one.
But obviously you're still going to get nerves every time you do it, because, you know, it's one of those processes that you go through and you're kind of constantly looking at yourself and thinking, have I done this, have I done that, am I on the right lines, are they going to enjoy what I'm doing, and am I making it as accessible to everybody? So yeah, I'm constantly thinking about that.
Which way would you like to count, clockwise or anti-clockwise?
Anti-clockwise.
So who do you need to start with, do you know? It's Ella. Okay, you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Norma, as head teacher, does that final observation just to give it sort of like a sense of a significance, But also, crucially, it's about moderating my role in the school, and so to make sure that the judgments I've been making and feeding back to Norma, that she's happy that I've been making the right judgments, and it just adds a certain thrill for the NQT at the end.
Special person, come and stand up with the counting.
I think she'll be looking at how I manage the class, how I relate to the children, and how I'm taking their learning on. She'll obviously would have fed back with the deputy head on my other observations, so she already knows a lot about what I've been doing here so far.
It's a repeating pattern. Goodness me, it is. Well done. You're very good at repeating patterns though, aren't you now? Super.
And she'll be looking at how I've structured my planning and how I'm, as a teacher, supporting other adults in the classroom. So she'll be wanting to see me moving around the room and checking on what my nursery nurse is doing, what the other groups are doing, as well as being with my group.
Wow. Goodness me.
You're going to get her to write cow for me.
We're going to have to send you to year 1.
I think I've become really confident as being an NQT teacher. Because I'm being observed on a regular basis, I can work on my strengths and my weaknesses, and I do build in confidence.
Spiders, so hopefully it will tell us lots of facts about a spider, okay? It's got a list of all the different types of spiders. What do you think the numbers mean by the sound of it? Ella?
I think by the time you come to your final observation, you do have a feel for the kind of teacher, your areas of strengths, how senior members of staff think you're doing. It's an opportunity to show the best that you possibly can do.
Have a lovely playtime. I'm really pleased actually with my observation. I felt it went really well. I felt really confident, and actually the nerves went away really quickly.
The big thing that I'd like to say is your classroom's all about learning. From the time that the children came in, you started with accurate language with them. You don't shy away.
I had a talk with the head teacher after my observation, and we went through my progress that I've made and also my strengths from today's observation and areas for improvement. It was really, really good, really positive. She had lots of positive things to say about me and how the children were working.
And I loved the bit where you were talking to the children and every single comment was something to expand their learning.
Yeah.
The only area for development that I could think about was maybe for Ali to introduce her activity. Yeah. She obviously did with her group, but maybe just...
I thought the importance of doing that review was we were able to talk about things, again, make me feel good about myself and make me feel good as a teacher for knowing how much I've progressed and how well it went, because it's makes me feel really good now, and I feel really happy that I've done it and it went really well. So yeah, I'm really pleased.
So I just wanted to review really your progress through sort of the key areas, particularly looking at
the NQT year is a rehearsal really for the rest of a teacher's professional life, where they reflect on their strengths and areas for development. They reflect on how their children have achieved during the year, and that starts the programme for performance management in the future. I think that the NQT year is a very good apprenticeship approach to going from being a student teacher to being a very experienced teacher.
And I am more than satisfied that you have achieved the standards, and so it's very exciting for me at this point to say well done, you have passed with absolutely flying colours, you are a complete superstar, and we are delighted that you're in reception at our school, so well done you.
Thank you.